Imagine a dirt floor classroom in Bihar, India.
Right.
The air's just thick with heat, and there's this core teenager named Ravi holding a cheap, cracked smartphone.
Mm-hmm.
But through that shattered glass screen,
Mm-hmm.
an AI is patiently teaching him advanced calculus and fluent Hindi.
That's incredible.
Right. It's anticipating his specific points of confusion, adapting its analogies in real time, and speaking to him with the nuance of, like, a master tutor.
Yeah.
And within a single year, that teenager won't just pass a standardized test. He's going to found a tech startup in a physical city that entirely eclipses Silicon Valley.
It's wild to even think about.
It really is. So today, we are unpacking the exact blueprint of how that happens. We're doing a massive custom-tailored deep dive into a near-future business thriller and visionary epic called Lumina AI, The Trillion-Dollar Sun by Paramendra Kumar Bhagat.
Yeah, and the overarching mission of our conversation today is to really deconstruct this structural paradigm shift. Because we spend a lot of time analyzing tech monopolies that scale by treating human beings as, a resource to be mined.
Right, like harvesting our attention.
Exactly. Harvesting attention, monitoring behavior, selling psychological profiles. But Lumina AI presents this chillingly plausible alternative. It's a fictional trillion-dollar empire that scales not by exploiting human attention, but by organizing and, upgrading reality itself.
Upgrading reality. I love that. But before we get into the mechanics of how this empire is actually built, I really want to set the tone with a piece of visual source material that, anchors the entire story.
Oh, the logo.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because in this universe, Lumina isn't represented by some sleek, minimalist, sterile corporate logo. It's depicted as a sun, but drawn in a really vibrant, traditional Indian folk art style.
Right, right.
Picture this, it's not just a geometric yellow circle. Right in the center is a deeply human face. Has these piercing, intelligent eyes, a prominent, distinguished mustache, and it's radiating these intricate geometric beams of brilliant red, orange, and gold.
Yeah, and that imagery, it does heavy lifting for the narrative.
Oh, absolutely.
It establishes right away that Lumina is not conceptualized as this detached alien machine intelligence, just sitting in a cold server farm somewhere.
Right, like the Terminator or something.
Exactly. A sun with a human face implies an intelligence that is culturally rooted, culturally specific, and fundamentally alive. A sun doesn't just observe, right? It radiates. It provides the energy required for other things to grow.
Yeah.
And that distinction between, a surveillance mechanism that extracts and a sun that radiates capability, that becomes the defining philosophy of everything this company built.
So let's trace how that sun is actually born. Because the origin story doesn't start in like a multi-million-dollar Stanford robotics lab.
Not at all.
No. We are starting in April 2026.
Yeah.
Our protagonist, Paramendra Kumar Bhagat, who goes by Param, is sitting in this cramped, dusty apartment in West Texas.
Just a totally normal guy, basically.
Yeah, his desk wobbles. He's running an obscure tech blog called TechBiz, drinking out of a peeling World's Best Dad mug.
Right.
But he makes a profound, structurally aggressive observation. He looks at the data and realizes that news like information about reality is the most consumed product on the internet.
We just consume it like oxygen.
We do.
Yeah.
And yet, the traditional institutions built to provide that oxygen are utterly collapsing. Okay, let's unpack this. Because I look at this collapse and think about how traditional journalism is essentially functioning like a post office in the age of telepathy.
Oh, that's a good way to put it.
Right. They're collecting physical letters, dragging them to a back room, sorting them over a period of hours, and delivering them the next day. Meanwhile, platforms like X have turned every single human being with a smartphone into a live electrical signal.
Yeah, exactly.
The world is producing infinite reality instantly.
And what's fascinating here is that the demand for reality is at a historic apex, right? But the supply chain for verified reality is completely broken. Legacy media organizations are hemorrhaging capital, shedding their workforce, facing an existential crisis of public trust.
Yep.
And that's the crucial observation Param makes. Human journalism relies on what is effectively batch processing.
And patch processing.
Yeah. An event occurs in the world. A human journalist travels to the event or makes phone calls to gather facts. They synthesize the facts into a draft.
Right, and then an editor has to review it.
Exactly. A human editor reviews the draft for tone, legal liability, style. And hours, sometimes days later, a static article is published.
Wow, yeah.
But reality is moving at the speed of photons, The raw material of an event is already streaming live from thousands of different angles via the smartphones of the people standing right there.
Wait, I have to challenge this premise, though, because it assumes the collapse of journalism is purely a structural distribution problem.
Okay, sure.
Look at how people actually behave online. Isn't the deeper issue that users don't actually want objective, verified truth?
Well,
Like, people actively seek out echo chambers. They want the dopamine hit of outrage and the comfort of having their biases validated. Isn't Param trying to solve a supply chain problem when the real issue is consumer psychology?
I mean, it is entirely fair to question the demand for truth, but Param's thesis suggests the psychology of outrage is a symptom of the broken pipeline, not the root cause.
The symptom, really.
Yeah. When the pipeline breaks down, chaos fills the void. Platforms like X proved that the post office model was too slow, so they replaced it with a fire hose of unverified raw data.
Right, just a constant stream of noise.
Exactly. And that fire hose is unusable. It's polluted with deepfakes, malicious rumors, algorithmic manipulation designed to trigger fight-or-flight responses.
Which is exhausting.
Totally. Param isn't arguing that people magically want boring facts. He's arguing that the human brain becomes exhausted and paranoid when forced to process a chaotic adversarial information stream.
Okay, I see.
So the problem isn't the content itself. The problem is the synthesis.
Got it. So Param envisions replacing that old manual post office pipeline with an entirely new architecture.
Yeah.
Instead of a event to journalist to editor to reader, he designs a system that goes event to mass citizen footage to AI verification and synthesis to a personalized, coherent feed.
Right.
He calls it a truth operating system. And what strikes me here is that he isn't just using AI to summarize long articles, which is, the trap most legacy media companies fall into.
Because using AI to summarize a human-written article is just auditing the end of a broken assembly line.
Exactly.
Param's concept for Lumina AI is to use artificial intelligence to cross-reference millions of raw data points. We're talking geolocations, ambient audio, lighting shadows, timestamps.
Wow.
To actually edit the world in real time. It's an infrastructure that observes the raw chaos and outputs a verified narrative instantly.
But having a grand theory about cross-referencing metadata in a West Texas apartment doesn't magically build global infrastructure.
No, definitely not.
Which brings up the massive hurdle of execution. I mean, Param has no billions, no massive engineering team, and no global credibility. How does a solo blogger actually build a sun?
Well, he employs a psychological framework he calls verbal martial arts.
Verbal martial arts.
Yeah. It is the discipline of projecting absolute inevitability while removing all desperation from the pitch.
Ah.
He isn't asking for help. He is offering a seat on a rocket ship that is launching with or without the passenger.
That's a power move.
It really is. He identifies 4 distinct pillars required to build a holistic truth ecosystem, and he sends cold, direct messages to 4 industry titans.
And he doesn't target random engineers. He targets people who already possess the specific forms of leverage he lacks.
Right.
First, he messages Robert Scoble, a legendary tech evangelist. Scoble's already building his own AI news aggregator, but Param essentially tells them, you are building a flashlight. I am building a sun.
It's such a great line.
Isn't it? Scoble brings the distribution network and the understanding of citizen reporting at scale.
But, scale is necessary, but scale without authority is just a louder echo chamber.
True.
That is why the second target is Palki Sharma. She's a globally recognized journalist famous for dismantling geopolitical propaganda.
Right. She brings the weight.
She brings the editorial authority and the moral spine. If Lumina is going to be trusted to organize reality, it needs a human face that the global public already associates with unyielding truth.
The third target is Lex Fridman. And this one fascinated me.
Yeah, it's an interesting choice.
Because Lex is famous for incredibly long, dense philosophical conversations. He doesn't do breaking news. So why bring him into an engine designed for instant reality?
Exactly.
Well, it's because Param knows that if Lumina only optimizes for speed, it inevitably devolves into a shallow dopamine factory. Lex is recruited to provide long-form intellectual trust.
Yeah.
He is the philosophical anchor that ensures the platform can handle depth, not just velocity.
And finally, he recruits Kubik's design.
Right.
Because Param is a student of technological history, he understands that the superior code base rarely wins the market on its own.
Look at the iPhone, right?
Exactly. The iPhone didn't beat BlackBerry simply because it had better internal processing.
Really?
It won because the user interface fundamentally changed the relationship between the human and the machine.
Yeah.
Param tells Kubix, UI is not decoration. UI is power. You don't design interfaces, you design inevitability.
But when he actually gets these four powerhouses on a secure video call, he does something that completely baffled me initially.
Oh, the pitch?
Yeah. He doesn't pitch a strategic partnership. He pitches a total corporate merger. And I have to push back on this strategy. Why risk everything on a merger?
Right.
Why not just say, let's form a coalition? Scoble, you keep your brand. Palki, you keep your show. Lex, you keep your podcast. We'll build a joint platform and share the revenue. I mean, a partnership seems infinitely less risky for everyone involved.
I get that. A partnership is less risky in the short term, but it is fatal in the long term.
Fatal.
Param's philosophy is that partnerships inherently rely on diplomacy. And when a severe crisis hits, and building a global truth engine guarantees severe crises, diplomacy creates delays.
Right.
Partners retreat to protect their individual brands and their individual equity. Delays in this space create death.
Wow.
By forcing a merger into a single corporate entity called Lumina AI, Param is forcing them to burn the ships. There is one cap table, one unified mission, and no escape hatch. Commitment is weaponized over committee.
Wow. Commitment weaponized over committee. To make that work, he implements the 30-30-30-10 covenant to structure the company's equity.
Yeah, this is brilliant.
It really is.
Yeah.
30% goes to the founders and the core leadership team. 30% is allocated to the early employees and builders who actually write the code. And then a massive 30% is walled off entirely for future merger partners and strategic acquisitions. And the final 10% is a reserve pool for future scaling.
Think about the signaling of that cap table, though.
Right.
By permanently reserving a third of the company for future acquisitions before a single line of code is fully deployed, Param is baking the mandate for aggressive, relentless expansion into the financial DNA of the company.
But equity alone won't keep giant egos in check.
Definitely not.
So he establishes the Greatness OS.
Right.
It's a corporate operating system built on radical transparency, ruthless execution, mission over ego, and zero bureaucracy. He explicitly treats the company culture as an executable code.
Yeah, he argues that all corporations function like religions, they just pretend they don't.
And Lumina's religion is greatness. And the market immediately recognizes the lethality of this alignment. I mean, the venture capital giant Andreessen Horowitz, A16Z, catches wind of this assembled team and drops a $5 million seed round at a $50 million valuation.
Which is just securing that valuation pre-product is staggering.
Unheard of.
It provides the initial capital velocity needed to transition from theory to architecture.
So with the capital secured, Param drops the hammer on the newly formed team.
Yeah.
He initiates this 6-week law. Here's where it gets really interesting. This dictates that every single major feature, every new interface, and every foundational system must be shipped in 6 weeks, or the project is killed.
Brutal.
No extensions,
Yeah.
no waiting for perfection.
And the 6-week law isn't just about speed, it's an epistemological tool.
How so?
Speed forces honesty. When an engineering team has infinite time, they fall in love with their own mock-ups. They build vanity features.
Right.
If you are forced to ship a complex AI infrastructure in 42 days, you have to aggressively strip away everything except the absolute core utility.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
So they divide this massive undertaking into 4 parallel war rooms. First is ingestion. This team builds the digital vacuum, sucking in millions of posts from X, raw video feeds, and public government data. Second is verification.
Right.
Third is synthesis, where the AI actually writes the coherent narrative. And fourth is the interface. Let's dig into the verification war room, because this is where the magic trick actually has to work. How does an AI verify a riot in real time without humans?
Well, the verification engine operates on multi-layered metadata corroboration.
Okay.
It isn't just looking at the text a user types. If a user uploads a video claiming a building is on fire in downtown Cairo at 3:00 p.m., the AI instantly analyzes the raw metadata of the file.
Like what?
It checks the GPS coordinates, it analyzes the angle of the shadows in the video, and cross-references them with the known position of the sun in Cairo at that exact minute to detect temporal manipulation.
Oh, wow. So if it's fake, the shadows will be wrong.
Exactly. It scans the ambient audio for specific sirens or background noises corroborated by other users in a 3-block radius.
That is insane.
It weighs the historical reputation score of the account uploading it. If it passes all those invisible tripwires, then it moves to synthesis.
And when it gets to the user, the interface team, led by Cubics, introduces a concept that completely dismantles the current social media paradigm. They create truth modes.
Yes.
Think about your own scrolling habits right now. When you open a major app, you are basically bracing for impact.
You really are.
Consciously or not, that a hidden black box algorithm is about to feed you content specifically selected to keep your eyes on the screen, usually by making you angry or anxious.
Because the traditional algorithm is designed for behavioral modification through surveillance.
Right.
Lumina operates on zero behavioral surveillance. The platform does not secretly profile you. Instead, you explicitly select your desired cognitive state.
You literally slide a dial. You can choose breaking mode if you want rapid, raw developing updates during a crisis.
Mm-hmm.
You can switch to deep mode for long-form Lex Fridman-style philosophical analysis of the event.
Right.
You can select neutral mode, which strips away all adjectives and emotional language, leaving only cold, verified facts.
Oh.
Or you can use context mode, which immediately pulls up historical timelines, maps, and economic data related to the event.
You are driving the machine. The machine isn't driving you.
Exactly.
And Palki Sharma enforces another critical feature within this interface, visible verification. Every single narrative generated by Lumina carries a confidence score ranging from 0 to 100.
Okay.
But the genius is in the transparency. The user can click that score and see the exact algebraic breakdown.
That's huge.
They can see that an 85 score means there are 4,000 corroborating citizen videos, a high source reputation, but a slight discrepancy in geolocation data.
And if the AI cannot verify something, it doesn't hallucinate an answer to look smart. It slaps a giant developing or conflicting reports label on the story.
Right.
It will literally show two contradictory narratives side by side and clearly state that the truth is currently unknowable.
Which is so different from legacy media. They destroyed their own credibility by projecting an illusion of omniscience.
Exactly.
They sat behind polished desks and presented an absolute singular truth. When the public inevitably discovered errors, the entire institution's authority shattered.
Yeah.
Lumina takes the opposite approach. By openly exposing the messy, probabilistic nature of reality and admitting what it does not know, it paradoxically engineers a much deeper, unbreakable trust with the user.
This architecture faces its first existential test in September 2026. A massive, ambiguous geopolitical crisis breaks out.
Right.
And the traditional platforms like X instantly devolve into a war zone. Bots are amplifying deep fakes, old footage from conflicts 5 years ago is being passed off as live video, and pure panic is spreading.
Just total chaos.
Complete chaos. Legacy networks like CNN and the BBC are paralyzed. Their post office model cannot process the fire hose. Their anchors are literally sitting on television repeating, "We cannot independently verify these images."
Yeah, while the legacy networks wait for official press releases, Lumina's ingestion and verification engines are running at full capacity. The system aggregates tens of thousands of raw citizen posts, runs the shadow analysis, the audio cross-referencing, and the geolocation checks, and outputs a coherent, time-stamped, deeply verified timeline of reality. They beat the legacy networks to the truth by several hours.
The public reaction is explosive.
Yeah.
Millions of users download Lumina overnight. And if you look at the narrative, the user reviews aren't geeking out over the sophisticated AI. People are talking about a profound sense of psychological relief.
Wow, relief.
Yeah. For the first time in a decade, they're looking at a reliable map of reality instead of a casino feed designed to hijack their amygdala.
Yeah.
The platform hits 10 million users in a single month.
However, you cannot disrupt global information flows without triggering a massive immune response from the existing power structures.
Dollars not.
Legacy journalists begin writing hit pieces accusing Lumina of being an unfeeling algorithmic propaganda machine.
Right.
State governments begin investigating the company, terrified that they can no longer control the narrative through traditional press briefings.
And when you are under that kind of coordinated assault, the instinct is to play defense. You hire PR firms, you issue apologies, you try to explain the algorithm.
But Param refuses.
Exactly. He engages in what he calls marketing escape velocity.
Yeah.
He realizes that if you accept the label of a news company, you inherit all the political polarization, bias accusations, and historical baggage of the news industry.
Yeah.
So he fundamentally rebrands the entire platform with one phrase: reality Instantly understood.
It is a masterful linguistic pivot.
Isn't it?
A news company is something you can debate. A news company has an agenda. But
It-
clarity, reality. Who can reasonably argue against the concept of reality being instantly understood?
Right. You can't.
It elevates Lumina above the political mudslinging.
But branding doesn't solve the structural vulnerabilities. And here is where I need you to explain the mechanics, because there is a glaring, obvious, perverse incentive here.
Okay.
Lumina wants a massive supply of raw data, so they decide to pay users for uploading footage. If you attach a financial reward to uploading news, won't millions of bad actors immediately use generative AI to flood the system with fake videos just to farm the payouts?
That is the exact vulnerability that destroys traditional Web3 and creator economy models.
Right.
If you pay for engagement or clicks, you incentivize sensationalist garbage. Lumina circumvents this through the Lumina Cred system.
Lumina Cred.
Yeah, it is a dual-layer economic and status engine. You do not get paid a single cent for views, clicks, or virality. You earn micro-royalties exclusively for verified contributions to the Truth ecosystem.
Okay, break that down. How does a user actually earn cred?
Let's say a protest breaks out in Paris. You are standing on a balcony, and you capture raw, unedited footage of a specific altercation.
Okay.
You upload it to Lumina. The AI cross-references your GPS, the time, and the visual data. Once it proves your footage is authentic, and it uses that footage to construct the master narrative of the event, you receive Lumina Cred.
Nice.
But it goes beyond just filming. If someone uploads a video in Arabic, and you provide a highly accurate, nuanced English translation that the AI verifies against other translations, you earn cred.
Oh, wow.
If you upload a historical document that provides necessary context to a developing story, you earn cred.
But what happens to the bad actor?
Yeah.
Like the guy who uses an AI tool to generate a fake video of an explosion to try and game the system.
And the system is structurally ruthless to bad faith.
Really?
Oh, yeah. If the verification engine catches you uploading manipulated data, deepfakes, or deliberate disinformation, your Lumina cred is instantly slashed. Your visibility in the network drops to zero.
Wow.
Repeat offenses result in permanent algorithmic exile. By linking real financial prosperity strictly to verified reality, Lumina flips the fundamental economic incentives of the internet.
It makes disinformation wildly expensive to produce and truth highly profitable to supply.
Exactly. The cost of generating a sophisticated deepfake that can pass Lumina's metadata checks is high. When the inevitable result of deploying that deepfake is a total loss of network status and future earning potential, the bad actors simply go somewhere else.
And because truth becomes profitable, the company's valuation skyrockets. By 2028, Lumen is generating massive revenue. They are ready to execute the next phase of the 30-30-30-10 covenant, the merger playbook. They use that 30% equity pool to start swallowing specialized startups. 10 companies in the first wave alone. Translation engines, blockchain cryptography firms, audio synthesis labs. They're building out the infrastructure.
But merging technologies is the easy part. Merging human cultures is where empires usually fracture.
Right.
Param operates on the strict belief that integrations fail not because the APIs don't talk to each other, but because the founders' egos clash.
This brings us to the story of Jonas, which is, frankly, wild.
It is.
Jonas is the founder of Verisight, an incredibly advanced AI verification firm that Lumina acquires. And Jonas is an undisputed genius, but he operates like a Silicon Valley monarch. He silos his engineering teams away from the rest of Lumina. He treats the acquisition like he conquered Lumina, not the other way around.
Yeah.
He even goes on LinkedIn and posts a long thread essentially bragging that his specific technology is the only thing keeping Lumina's platform running.
Which is a catastrophic violation of the Greatness OS, specifically the mandate of mission over ego.
So Param calls Jonas into his office. He doesn't bring in HR. He doesn't offer a performance improvement plan or try to stroke his ego. He looks at Jonas and says, "You built a tool. Lumina is building an institution." And he fires him on the spot.
Yeah.
He completely severs the founder of the company they just spent millions acquiring. Now, I have to push back hard here. Isn't that incredibly reckless?
Well,
You just acquired a company specifically for its bleeding-edge technical capabilities, and you immediately execute the visionary behind it. That sounds like a recipe for a corporate mutiny, destroying the very asset you just bought.
If you view Lumina as a traditional tech conglomerate, it looks suicidal.
Exactly.
But Param views Lumina as a civilization layer. If you allow a malignant, ego-driven culture to take root inside the core leadership, that infection will eventually corrupt the product itself.
I see.
An engineer who cares more about credit than truth will build systems that prioritize credit over truth. Firing Jonas sends an irreversible shockwave through the entire organization.
It proves he's serious.
It proves, permanently, that the Greatness OS is not a poster in the break room, it is absolute law. The engineers realize they're serving the mission, not a personality cult.
With a cultural discipline brutally enforced, Lumina turns its attention to a new frontier. Up until now, Lumina has dominated text, static images, and raw audio.
Right.
But late one night in 2029, Param is sitting in his office watching a complex riot unfold through a mosaic of raw smartphone clips. And the paradigm shifts again. He realizes that text is the old language of civilization. Video is the new one.
Because the human brain is evolutionarily wired for narrative motion and facial emotion.
Right.
You can publish a meticulously researched 10,000-word investigative article exposing corruption, and it might be read by a few thousand academics.
Yeah.
But a 30-second, viscerally paced video clip of that same corruption can spark a global revolution in an afternoon.
But there is a massive bottleneck. Creating cinematic, persuasive video is insanely difficult. Think about what it takes to edit a documentary right now.
It's awful.
It is like flying a commercial airliner. You open Adobe Premiere or Final Cut Pro, and you are immediately staring at a terrifying dashboard of complex timelines, multi-track audio scrubbing, color grading wheels, transition effects. It takes years to become fluent in that language.
Yeah.
Param decides he needs to make editing video as frictionless as pushing an elevator button.
He applies strict first principles thinking to the problem.
Okay.
Why is video editing hard? Because the software was designed by professionals, for professionals, to manipulate raw data manually.
Right.
But in 2029, AI has already ingested and analyzed millions of hours of award-winning documentaries, blockbuster films, and viral content. The AI understands the mathematics of pacing. It knows exactly when a cut builds tension. It understands the acoustic signature of emotional resonance.
So Param isolates the Skunkworks team, their directive, build the ultimate AI video editor in 6 weeks. They emerge with Lumina Cut.
Yeah, and the workflow is mind-bending.
It really is. Imagine you are a citizen journalist. You don't need a timeline. You dump a folder of 30 shaky, raw smartphone clips into Lumina Cut. You type a single sentence describing the narrative you want to convey. The AI instantly analyzes all the footage, selects the most compelling frames, and snaps them into a cinematic sequence.
It maps those clips directly to Lumina's verified truth engine.
Yes. It generates perfect subtitles in 100 languages simultaneously. It synthesizes a professional voiceover and scores the entire thing with dynamically generated background music. A process that used to take a team of editors a week is executed in under 2 minutes.
If we connect this to the bigger picture, we have to pause and examine the profound ethical implication of this tool, which is articulated brilliantly by Daniel, the lead engineer on the Lumina Cut project.
Right, Daniel.
During development, Daniel tells Param, editing is violence.
That's intense.
It is. When you make a cut in a video, you are killing frames. You are deliberately murdering surrounding context to force the viewer's eye toward a highly specific, engineered narrative.
Wow.
Every single edit, by definition, is an act of manipulation.
And Param's response is so cold, yet so practically necessary. He looks at Daniel and says, yes, and we need violence with ethics.
It sounds like a paradox, but it is the genius of the system.
Yeah.
If you give users an AI that only optimizes for maximum emotional violence, which is exactly what the algorithms on platforms like TikTok encourage, you destroy reality.
Right.
But because Lumina Cut is inextricably linked to Lumina's verification war room, the AI acts as an ethical guardrail.
Yeah.
It will not allow a user to edit a video that fundamentally contradicts the verified metadata timeline. It allows ordinary citizens to wield the narrative power of a massive documentary studio, but ensures that power remains tethered to objective reality.
The real-world impact is immediate. The source material highlights a specific, incredible example.
Yeah.
In 2029, a citizen journalist in a remote part of Nigeria captures raw, chaotic, disjointed footage of a massive corporate environmental disaster. Illegal dumping that is poisoning a local water supply. Historically, a massive corporation would easily bury that footage with PR spin, claiming the video was out of context or misleading. But this journalist runs her raw clips through Lumina Cut.
Within minutes, she doesn't just have a shaky video, she has produced a 10-minute, masterfully paced investigative documentary.
Wow.
The AI has overlaid animated maps showing the spread of the toxins, provided verified chemical data on screen, and translated her local dialect into flawless Mandarin, English, and Spanish.
It goes globally viral instantly. The corporation's stock plummets. They're forced into accountability. Lumina Cut proves that when the friction of production is removed, every single person on Earth becomes a potential filmmaker.
But empowering millions of new filmmakers immediately creates a critical vulnerability.
Right.
You have given the masses a revolutionary printing press, but you haven't built them a distribution network.
Yes. Which launches us into Section 6, the TikTok killer. Param is analyzing the user data, and he sees a horrifying trend. Creators are using Lumina Cut to generate these brilliant, verified cinematic videos, but because Lumina doesn't have a dedicated video feed, they are taking those videos and uploading them to TikTok, Instagram, and YouTube.
Yeah.
Param realizes he is essentially handing a printing press to the kings. Lumina is building the ultimate creation tool, only to feed the engagement engines of the very surveillance empires they are trying to dismantle.
Because the battlefield of the human mind in the late 2020s has been entirely colonized by short-form video.
Right.
The dominant platforms operate on an attention slavery model. They utilize black box algorithms that monitor how long your thumb hovers over a screen, map your deep-seated psychological vulnerabilities, and feed you an endless, frictionless loop of dopamine to maximize ad revenue.
It's so insidious.
It really is. If Lumina allows those platforms to control distribution, Lumina loses the war for reality.
So Lumina builds its own distribution network, Lumina Pulse. But the design philosophy is fundamentally opposed to its competitors. The engineering mandate is, do not build a casino. Build a library with electricity.
The defining architectural feature of Lumina Pulse is algorithm preference control.
Okay, tell me about that.
This is the ultimate weapon against surveillance capitalism.
Yeah.
When you log into TikTok or X, the algorithm is a secret. It profiles you without your consent. On Lumina Pulse, you explicitly construct your own algorithmic diet.
Think about what this means for you, the listener, in your daily life. Imagine opening a video app, and instead of an infinite manipulative scroll, you are presented with a mixing board. You set sliders, you tell the app, today I want 60% global news, 20% local economics, and 20% stand-up comedy.
Yeah, exactly.
You tell it, I want a slow, deep dive pacing, not rapid-fire cuts. You are dictating the terms of engagement.
And this structural shift forces a massive evolution in the content itself, primarily because Lumina integrates NanoPay.
Right, NanoPay.
NanoPay was a micropayment startup they acquired. Because users dictate their own feeds, creators can no longer rely on triggering cheap outrage to game an algorithm for views.
Yeah, it says.
But because NanoPay allows seamless instant microtransactions, viewers can directly tip creators or buy digital assets from them natively in the video player.
It completely demonetizes outrage. If you are a creator, you don't need millions of angry clicks to secure a mattress sponsorship. You just need 100,000 highly engaged, curious viewers who will drop a microcent into your wallet because you taught them something valuable. As a result, the hard boundaries between genres begin to dissolve.
Exactly. When quality and utility are economically rewarded over mere attention, the ecosystem matures.
The source material gives this perfect visualization. You are scrolling Pulse, and you stop on a 60-second, incredibly funny animated video. It feels like comedy, but it is actually teaching you advanced macroeconomic theory regarding inflation. It was built using Lumina Cut by a creator in Brazil. It was automatically translated into your language. And as you watch it, a fraction of a cent is automatically transferred from your NanoPay wallet to theirs. News becomes comedy.
Right.
Comedy becomes education. It is capitalism, but without the exploitation of the user's attention.
That natural blurring of entertainment and education brings Param to a devastating realization about the global limits of human potential.
Right. This takes us to the Geneva Summit. Param is invited to this incredibly elitist high-security summit in Switzerland discussing the future of human development. He is sitting in a room filled with billionaires, legacy politicians, and NGO heads. They are drinking sparkling water and theorizing abstractly about poverty and the digital divide.
Just a lot of talk.
Carmel listens for an hour, realizes the entire conversation is completely hollow theater, and he literally walks out of the room.
Wow.
He realizes that you can verify reality all you want, but if a human being doesn't have the cognitive capability to act on that reality, nothing changes. Education is the ultimate battlefield.
Because the Industrial Revolution created an educational model that functions exactly like an assembly line.
Put 30 children in a room, ring a bell, force them to memorize the exact same data at the exact same speed, test them, and move them to the next station.
Exactly. It assumes standardization is the only way to scale learning.
Yeah.
Param decides to build Lumina Scholar, an ecosystem based on what he calls liquid learning.
Lumina Scholar is not a digitized textbook. It's not a search engine where you type a question and get a Wikipedia link.
Right.
It is an individualized AI mentor that detects your specific cognitive rhythm.
Let's unpack how that actually functions.
Yeah, please.
The AI monitors how a student interacts with information. It learns that student A grasps physics immediately through visual simulations of orbital mechanics, but struggles with the raw mathematics.
Oh.
It learns that student B needs historical analogies to understand chemistry. The AI shapes the curriculum like water, constantly adjusting the pressure, the pacing, and the delivery method to optimize for that exact unique brain.
But every time AI in education is brought up, the immediate panicked response is, this is going to put millions of human teachers out of work. We're going to have a generation of kids raised by cold machines. How does Lumina handle the human element?
The text explicitly addresses this. Lumina does not eliminate the teacher. It elevates them into a mentor economy.
Mentor economy.
Yeah. The AI is vastly superior at the rote transfer of information, infinite patience in repetitive practice, and instant grading. But AI cannot provide emotional discipline, moral guidance, or real-world role modeling.
So the human teachers are freed from the drudgery of grading multiple choice tests at midnight. They transition into high-value mentors.
Exactly.
Even more brilliantly, the best teachers in the world actually build the specialized curriculum modules that the AI uses to teach. And because of the Lumina network, those teachers earn royalties and equity every time their module helps a kid in another country solve a problem.
It creates a global meritocracy for pedagogy.
Yeah.
And the impact of this is brought to life in one of the most powerful scenes in the entire narrative.
I love this scene. Param leaves the billionaires in Geneva and travels to a rural village in Bihar, India. He walks into this sweltering, crowded room with a dirt floor. Sitting in the corner is a young boy named Ravi. Ravi is holding a cheap, hand-me-down smartphone connected to a battery pack. And through that device, Lumina Scholar is speaking to him in Hindi.
Yeah.
Ravi isn't just learning basic literacy. The AI is guiding him through advanced, university-level calculus. The machine is infinitely patient, endlessly adapting to his specific hurdles.
Param watches this and articulates the ultimate consequence of that technology.
Right.
For centuries, the primary advantage of the global elite was access to superior instruction. If you went to Oxford or MIT, you had access to minds that the rest of the world could never reach.
Exactly.
Lumina Scholar effectively digitizes and distributes that elite capability to any human being with a screen and a connection.
Param whispers to himself in that room, "This is how poverty dies." It gave me chills.
It really is profound.
Poverty isn't just a lack of money, it's a lack of capability. If you distribute infinite capability, you attack inequality at its absolute root.
However, infinite capability in the digital realm eventually collides with the friction of the physical world.
Right.
Ravi might now possess the knowledge of an MIT engineer, but he is still sitting on a dirt floor in Bihar. He has no access to capital, no legal framework to incorporate a business, and no manufacturing infrastructure.
Yeah.
Brilliance without physical infrastructure is a seed without soil.
Which means Lumina cannot just remain an app on a phone. It has to physically manifest.
Exactly.
And this is where the scale of the story becomes truly staggering. Param decides that instead of acquiring companies, Lumina is going to manufacture ecosystems. They are going to build a physical city.
Consider the organic evolution of innovation hubs like Silicon Valley or Shenzhen. They took decades to form through a chaotic alignment of universities, government defense spending, and venture capital. Param doesn't want to wait 50 years.
Right.
He wants to engineer a city specifically designed to remove every single atom of friction from the entrepreneurial process.
They break ground on Accelerator City right there in Bihar, India. Think back to that visual we discussed at the beginning, the vibrant folk art sun, rooted in Indian soil, radiating capability.
Yeah.
Accelerator City is the physical embodiment of that sun. Let's dive into the logistics of this place because it is fascinating.
It really is.
Imagine you are Ravi. You have an idea for a new solar tech startup. In the old world, you have to find a lawyer, pay incorporation fees, find a landlord who will rent to a teenager, source manufacturing equipment from China, and navigate local bureaucracy.
In Accelerator City, Lumina Scholar acts as the municipal brain.
Okay.
Robbie proposes his idea to the AI. The system instantly legally incorporates his company through automated smart contracts.
Just like that.
Just like that. He is automatically assigned a space in subsidized founder dormitories designed for intense collaboration. When he needs to prototype his solar tech, he doesn't have to wait weeks for overseas shipping. He walks down the street to massive, shared, automated 3D printing and robotics labs available to any citizen of the city.
The friction of the physical world drops to zero.
Totally.
The output is absolutely unprecedented. The text notes that in its first year alone, Accelerator City produces 1,000 viable startups.
1,000.
Lumina doesn't need to send scouts to Silicon Valley to acquire new technology anymore. They have manufactured their own infinite acquisition pipeline. The ecosystem feeds itself.
But generating infinite capability and new technologies inevitably puts Lumina on a collision course with the reigning titans of the physical economy.
Which brings us to the most intense economic conflict in the narrative.
Yes.
The Amazon dwarfing.
Yes.
It starts with a conversation in Accelerator City. A young, brilliant founder named Arjun comes to Param and asks a dangerous paradigm-shifting question. Why are we still letting Amazon own commerce?
So what does this all mean? To understand the gravity of that question, we have to deconstruct the economic foundations of Amazon.
Right.
Amazon is the apex predator of the scarcity economy. Their entire empire is built on the logistical mastery of moving physical objects.
Yeah.
Objects are inherently scarce. They require raw materials, factory assembly, massive concrete warehouses, diesel trucks, and shipping containers.
But Lumina isn't in the business of scarcity. Lumina realizes they can sell capabilities, which are digital, infinitely reproducible, and have zero marginal cost of distribution.
This is transformative commerce.
Yes. Let's think about how this changes your daily life as a consumer. If you go to Amazon right now and type camera, Amazon's goal is to sell you an object.
Right.
They want to ship you a plastic and glass box as fast as possible. But when Lumina Market launches, the search bar doesn't ask, what do you want to buy? It asks, what do you want to become?
The psychological shift is profound. The user doesn't buy a camera, the user buys filmmaker mode.
Let's unpack what filmmaker mode actually is.
Yeah.
When you buy it on Lumina Market, you instantly unlock the professional tier of Lumina Cut on your phone. You get an AI mentor, specifically trained in cinematic theory, guiding your shots in real time. You get access to a network of human mentors. And yes, a physical camera arrives at your door, fulfilled by a third-party logistics partner, but the object is secondary.
Yeah.
You aren't buying the object. You are buying the capability to be a filmmaker. You can buy founder mode to launch a business or athlete mode to optimize your physiology. They're selling human upgrades.
This model completely terrifies Amazon.
I can imagine.
A customer who buys an object remains a passive consumer. They will come back and buy another object tomorrow. But a user who buys a capability becomes a creator.
Right.
They become deeply structurally integrated into the Lumina ecosystem that empowered them. Amazon realizes they are facing a competitor that does not need to compete on warehouse space.
This triggers the ultimate confrontation. The inner circle of Jeff Bezos calls Param. The tension in this scene is incredible.
Oh, it's palpable.
Amazon offers a massive strategic partnership. They tell Param, you have the AI, the intelligence, and the capability layer. We have the warehouses, the planes, and the global delivery network. Let's integrate.
They want a piece.
We handle the messy, low-margin physical world, and you own the high-margin digital world. Now, as a founder, everything in your brain screams to take that deal. You eliminate your biggest rival and achieve total global dominance overnight without having to build a single warehouse.
But Param refuses the deal instantly.
Why? Why not take the deal and dominate logistics?
Because Param understands the biology of corporate power. If Lumina delegates its physical interactions to Amazon, Lumina becomes dependent on Amazon's infrastructure.
Oh, I see.
It ceases to be a son. It becomes a parasite feeding off a larger host.
A parasite.
The moment Amazon decides to change the terms of the deal or throttle the logistics, Lumina dies. Param's vision requires absolute, uncompromised independence. To truly organize reality, Lumina must eventually master the physical environment on its own terms.
Absolute independence, which means they have to stop relying entirely on smartphones and build their own physical vessels.
Right.
This launches the final act of our journey, embodying intelligence and the trillion-dollar dawn. Lumina executes a massive acquisition of an advanced company called KineticQ and forms an entirely new division, Lumina Motion.
Yeah.
They are entering the robotics industry. But they aren't just building mechanical arms for car factories. They are building vessels for the Lumina intelligence.
Because AI confined to a server rack is just a brain in a jar. Robotics allows the Greatness OS and the Truth Engine to step into the physical environment.
The product lineup is incredible. They build highly durable, low-cost educational robots deployed to those rural schools in Bihar, giving physical presence to Lumina's Scholar. They build StateFots, massive dynamic robotic rigs that perform at live concerts, which are naturally streamed globally on Lumina Pulse.
Right.
But the two most crucial products are the Sentinel drones and the Halo. Let's talk about the Sentinels, because this ties all the way back to the West Texas apartment.
It does.
Sentinels are small, highly advanced drones deployed specifically into active war zones or natural disasters. But they aren't carrying weapons.
No.
They're equipped with cryptographic, tamper-proof cameras and sensor suites. They fly into environments too dangerous for human journalists, capture raw, verified reality, and beam it directly into the Lumina verification engine. They are physical immune cells for the truth.
And then there is the Halo, which brings the entire ecosystem into the domestic sphere.
Right.
The Halo is a home companion device. It acts as the physical nexus for Lumina News, Pulse, Scholar, and Market in your living room.
But wait, if I put a corporate microphone and camera in my living room, hasn't Lumina just become the exact surveillance nightmare they swore to destroy?
That is the genius of the zero surveillance architecture established on day one.
How so?
Unlike legacy tech companies that upload all your voice recordings to central servers to analyze your behavior and sell ads, the Halo processes almost everything locally on the device's own internal neural net.
Oh, on the device itself.
Exactly. It does not phone home to headquarters with your private data. It operates as an encrypted agent serving the user, not as a spy gathering intelligence for the corporation.
And that specific architectural choice, local processing, and decentralization becomes the only thing that saves the company during the climax of the story. The year is 2035. Lumina has disrupted global journalism, reshaped education, and challenged global commerce.
And the existing power structures finally strike back.
A massive, coordinated, state-level cyber attack hits Lumina.
This isn't a couple of hackers. It is a coalition of hostile nation-states trying to wipe the entire truth infrastructure off the map to regain control of their narratives.
They flood the network, try to corrupt the verification engines, and attempt to bring down Pulse. But how does Lumina survive an attack of that magnitude when a centralized company would be crushed?
This raises an important question about their architecture.
Okay.
The attackers modeled their assault on traditional centralized tech fortresses. They assumed if they hit the main data centers, the system would collapse. But because Lumina was designed for maximum privacy, the vast majority of its processing power was distributed across millions of individual Halo devices, smartphones, and local nodes in Accelerator City.
Oh, wow.
When the attack hit, Lumina acted like a biological organism. The network dynamically fragmented. Yeah. Local clusters isolated themselves from the corrupted main lines, continued verifying reality locally, and then restitched themselves together using encrypted mesh networks. The anti-surveillance architecture acted as an unbreakable, decentralized immune system.
The attack fails. And more importantly, the failure proves something to the entire planet. Lumina is no longer just a popular app. It is unkillable planetary infrastructure. It is too essential to fail.
Yeah.
The very next year, 2036, Lumina finally executes its IPO. But true to their culture, they don't just stand on a balcony in New York and ring a brass bell on Wall Street.
No, they don't.
The opening bell is a global event,
Yeah.
broadcast in 200 languages, directly on Lumina Pulse. The market cap rockets past $1.2 trillion in a matter of hours.
Unbelievable.
Param steps up to deliver his final address as the founder. He looks at the global audience and delivers the thesis statement of his life's work. Lumina is not a company. Lumina is a civilization layer.
A civilization layer.
It's the triumphant moment. But the story doesn't end on the stock ticker. The final scene of the narrative is beautifully quiet. Param is now an older man. He is a grandfather. He is walking through the bustling, vibrant streets of Accelerator City. He looks around at the 3D printing labs, the young founders, the sheer density of human capability. He has built the sun.
He really did.
And as he is walking, a trembling, nervous teenage founder approaches him. The kid stammers out that he has an idea for a technology that is going to be even bigger and more disruptive than Lumina itself.
Most billionaires would laugh or instantly try to acquire the kid to neutralize the threat.
Param doesn't laugh. He reaches into his bag and hands the kid physical copies of the 3 core documents that built the empire. The Greatness OS, the 30-30-30-10 Covenant, and the 6-week law. He looks at the teenager and says, "Then build your son."
It perfectly encapsulates the entire mentor economy they engineered. Param understands that true power isn't about sitting on a corporate throne forever.
Right.
True power is providing the capability for the next generation to obsolete you and build something even greater.
What an absolute ride. From a wobbly desk in a dusty West Texas apartment to a trillion-dollar physical and digital civilization that completely reorganizes how humanity interacts with truth, education, and commerce.
It stands as a vital thought experiment for our current moment.
It really does.
It forces us to ask what technology could actually achieve if the core business model prioritized the radical expansion of human capability over the passive extraction of human attention.
Absolutely. Which is why I want to leave you with a direct challenge today. Think about that paradigm shift. The future does not belong to the platforms that harvest our attention. It belongs to the tools that upgrade our capabilities.
I want you to pull out your phone right now. Look at the apps on your home screen. Really look at them. Are they treating you as a passive consumer of objects and outrage? Are they keeping you submerged in that muddy algorithmic water? Or are they genuinely giving you the capability to become a creator of your own reality? What is the small, vibrant sun you could start building tomorrow? Thank you for joining us on this massive deep dive. We'll see you next time.